Groenewald, yesterday your party specifically wanted to see and hear more details about cutting the public sector wage bill. The Minister not saying very much about that this afternoon, but we do see some details in the documents.
Yes, from the details we can also see that he is actually going to take 14.1 billion from the educational department, but it doesn't make sense. Because just a couple of weeks ago, the President announced he's going to create 200,000 jobs as assistants to educators. So how can he take money from the educational department to decrease the wage bill, but he's still going to appoint 200,000 assistants? It just doesn't make sense. It is quite clear to the Freedom Front Plus that the Minister is actually in checkmate. If you go and look at the total or projected budget deficit with mature loans, we're talking about 770 billion rand. The gross debt, we're talking about 3.9 trillion, increasing to 5.5 trillion by the end of the medium term. Only the service cost alone is at this moment 233 billion annually, increasing to 355 billion. So he cannot survive. Even if you look at the SAA, he is actually taking money from, as he said, conditional grants, which is actually local government, where people need money the most because they don't have water, they don't have sanitation. So he's going to take from that money, he's going to take and give it 10.4 billion to the SAA.
So where should he have taken the money from?
Well, firstly, we say he shouldn't have given the 10.4 billion bailout to the SAA. It's as simple as that. Because the SAA should be privatized, given away to any private company who wants to take it, and then they can continue with that. But at this moment, he's taking money from essential services to finance the SAA, and that's totally unacceptable.
Thank you very much, Dr. Groenewald. I'm just going to move ahead here. Steve Swart from the ACDP, your views on the Minister's speech this afternoon?
Well, I think we're all deeply concerned about the lack of stewardship that has been shown when we are managing our government debt, and that is escalating to 5.5 trillion. That is intergenerational debt that our children are going to have to pick up. And of course, when you have increasing debt service costs, as the Minister indicated, it crowds out other expenditure. And I'm the longest serving member, I'm very grateful for that, on the Justice Committee. And I've long been saying, give the law enforcement agencies more capacity. The SIU, the Asset Forfeiture Unit, they can collect billions of rands, and they can then help balance the budget. So that is something that the Minister has said. He's heard the ACDP, they are doing it, but I think more can be done in that regard. Of course, we also want to see the economic recovery plan implemented as a matter of urgency. If we have economic growth, that will result in more jobs, and of course it will result in greater revenue collection, which will also help balance the books. So there are major concerns when you see the fiscal consolidation path has been extended now to 5 years, and there's no guarantee even then that it will be achieved, which could regrettably, and it's a great fear, result in a sovereign debt crisis that nobody wants.
Did the Minister give enough details for you on that economic recovery plan we were expecting this afternoon?
I think one's going to have to look at a lot more detail. I think in all the documentation that we are expecting still, I think there could be information there. But of course the SAA expenditure and other expenditure is totally unacceptable. But we're going to have to look in detail to what is proposed. This is a proposal. Parliament still needs to approve it.
But with 30 billion rand he wants to cut from the public sector wage bill, is that workable?
Well, it all depends on what happens now with the court case that is taking the review. The government's decision not to implement the third year of the wage increase is on review. And if the court comes out and supports the trade unions, then it's not going to achieve that saving. So that is a major. We support the fact that there must be a limitation on the public sector. That spiraling public sector wage bill must be decreased because it is unaffordable in the medium term.
Thank you very much. That's Steve Swart from the ACDP. Shahan, we're just going to keep it rolling if we can. The DA's Jordan Hill-Lewis. Jordan, your views on the Minister's speech this afternoon?
I think there were two major disappointments, Lindsay, I'm afraid. The two commitments that the Minister has really staked a claim on over the last couple of years has been getting debt under control and ending bailouts. I'm afraid today he retreated on both of those commitments. He is going to bail out South African Airways with another 10.5 billion on top of the 16.5 they got in February. And he has admitted or conceded that debt will not get under control by 2023, but only by 2026. And even then, with an extra trillion, with a T, trillion rand in debt on top of what we already have. Now, we just think that bailing out SAA and going deeper into debt when so many South African families are suffering right now is totally unacceptable, and actually worse than that, morally indefensible. And especially when you look at the detail of the numbers, to see that it is being funded by cuts to basic services like policing and healthcare and education. This is just not right.
So where should the minister have taken the money from?
Well, he should not have given the money to South African Airways, and he should have stuck to his commitment made just 3 months ago in July to the so-called active scenario to get debt under control by 23.
The DA has long been calling for cuts to the public service wage bill. Does that go far enough for you this afternoon?
Yes, it does. That is the one thing that we can take away with a deal of encouragement from the minister's speech. He did commit to very significant cuts in the public wage bill, but I just hope that that doesn't go the way of his other commitments that he's made and which he has broken today. We have to see the public wage bill get under control, because at the moment we're currently spending 57 cents out of every rand just on paying government salaries. That is also totally unsustainable.
What wasn't what the DA has been calling for in the past is spending, possibly allowing people to draw early from their retirement savings. Today the minister indicating that possibly regulations could be changed to allow some withdrawal trustees, to allow investment into infrastructure from pension funds. Your view on that?
Well, so long as it isn't what we call asset prescription, where you are forcing pension funds to invest, then we are prepared to look at the proposal. But I think that this is just the initial step in a direction towards asset prescription, where pension funds are forced to invest the way that the government wants them to, and obviously we'd be very concerned about that. Pension funds' primary responsibility is to look after the savings of their clients, the pensioners and future pensioners in South Africa, people who are working hard every month to save for their later retirement. And it would not be right or acceptable to put those savings in jeopardy to fund some ANC investment project. So that is of concern.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lindsay.